it took for the president to find out that America's top spy was under investigation? And should Congress have been notified earlier? Out front tonight is Democratic Congressman Adam Schiff of the House Intelligence Committee. And good to see you, sir. We really appreciate your taking the time. Congressman, we go through this timeline. Did the FBI make a mistake?
Well, there are a lot of questions. How did this investigation get initiated? Was it properly started in the first place? Was it properly leaked? Why was it leaked to a member of Congress? Was that whistleblowing, or was that personal, or was that political? Most significantly, as you alluded earlier, was classified information compromised in this relationship with General Petraeus? And then finally, what about the notification of Congress? Under the National Security Act of 1947, there's an obligation to notify Congress of significant intelligence activities, and there's an Intelligence Committe policy that if there's significant misconduct that could compromise intelligence, that has to be notified to Congress. I don't want to prejudge it too much, because there are lots of unanswered questions at this point, and clearly I think the FBI was in a very tough position. If this was just an affair that had no national security implication, then there's no reporting requirement. Right. And what is emerging publicly at this point, and you know, I think there's a lot more work to be done, is the claim is that there wasn't a compromise of national security information, and if that's correct, then maybe it did not trigger a notification requirement, but that's one of the very important questions that we have.
And to that question, I understand the nuance that you're referring to, Congressman Schiff, but you know, in May it starts. That leads them, when they're looking at the harassing emails sent to Jill Kelly, turns out they were from Paula Broadwell. That led them to David Petraeus. At some point they become worried, was the CIA director compromised? They end up realizing there, but I mean, just to your point, I mean, the director of the CIA has access to the names of every single person in the entire intelligence community, every operative we have around the world, except the Pentagon. More access to intelligence than the Secretary of Defense or the National Security Agency, and has independent access to the president. He can bypass the Director of National Intelligence. I mean, it would seem, of all people in the world, if you're worried about the security of the CIA director, that's something you would share, if not just with Congress, with the president, right?
Well, you know, on one level, that certainly makes sense from, you know, common sense point of view. At the same time, we have to look at the history of the FBI. When the FBI was probing into the private affairs of public officials, and under the Hoover administration, used them to blackmail, extort, pressure people to do the bidding of the FBI. We don't want to return to those days. So I think we have to be very careful, and I think clearly the FBI was trying to find the right line here and not use what may have been an affair that had nothing to do with national security in a way that would harken back to the bad days of the FBI.
But as you say, we just don't know whether they should have or shouldn't have at this point, because we don't have enough information. What about Eric Cantor? You know, he was told on October 27th from a person he hadn't met before and he didn't know. He didn't say anything about it. Some people have criticized him for it, but here's his defense today.
The information that was sent to me sounded as if there was a potential for a national security vulnerability. I had no way of corroborating the story that I was told, and felt that the best thing to do at the time was not to politicize it, but to put national security first.
Now, Congressman Schiff, that makes sense. He then also continued to say he assumed that the FBI had told Congress. Did Cantor do the right thing?
You know, I think he probably did. You know, he's not in a position to really evaluate the merits of what he's being told. And indeed, in terms of the facts that have come to public light, there are questions about this particular agent and his relationship and what motivated him. So, you know, I think he probably did the right thing. I have, frankly, more questions, not for Eric Cantor, but for this FBI agent about why he chose Eric Cantor, someone in a very prominent position in one of the political parties. Was this out of a political motivation, or was this out of a genuine concern that the investigation itself was politicized? A lot of questions that, you know, we'll start to get to the bottom of tomorrow when we have a hearing with the FBI on this.
Yes.
But again, you know, I've worked with the FBI ever since I was Assistant U.S. Attorney. They are an extraordinary agency with a lot of dedicated people, and I don't want to prejudge them until we hear their side of the story.
All right. Well, we are all looking forward to hearing that tomorrow and getting some answers to all the questions that you have. Thanks so much, sir.
Thank you.
Well, we know more about Jill Kelly, the Tampa socialite at the center of the Petraeus scandal. On the day her all